So in 2023, I want you to see yourselves as media companies. Every single one of you is a media company that happens to do real estate. So again, you could either buy that attention or you can create that attention. If you want to buy that attention, it's going to cost money, as we know, and we may not all have the same budget to work with. Actually, we don't have the same budget to work with because we don't have the same goals. We don't have the same experience. We don't have the same whatever. But as we create this, as we create content, as we were talking about earlier, online, there's really 4 ways to do that. Either you're going to create visual content, images, those infographics, that type of education. So the images, like the imagery, that's the visual component. Or you can create content via text format. So this is where you go into blogs. This is when you go into posting on your social media and like do this long form or short form pieces of information. You're educating and creating content through text. Or you could do it through audio. This is where podcasts come into play. This is where other mediums, modalities of reaching the end consumer come into play. So you can create content in audio form, or you can create content in the form of video. Right? So a lot of you mentioned video. A lot of you have intention of going into video full time, and that's fantastic. So whatever you decide to do in terms of content creation, whether that's going all in on visuals, going all in on text, going in on all audio, or going in on video, all of those answers are right. The thing is, we just have to get at least 1 to 2 and just go after it. Right? So when you wake up, how many posts how many posts can I make on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, on my whatever? Like how can I make these posts to not only grow but retain? So grow in this, let's talk about Instagram. How can I get more followers and maintain the followers that I have? Same with video. How can I get more people on YouTube, as an example, to follow me or to subscribe and retain so they can watch my content? Right? So it's, once you apply this to your business every single day and you have that singular focus, it's just not, it's a matter of going a mile deep with whatever you decide to do. So a little pro tip, and I wish I was in my office to show you the backboard that I had, but what we're doing here is we're starting with text, meaning we're creating text for blogs first, which then becomes my audio, which then becomes my video, which then becomes my visual. So here's what this means. So with the text, let's just say I create we're going to go through this example right now, but just to drive the point home, and then we'll start working. If we wanted to talk about the home selling process as an example, where we're going to create a text, a very refined text around that, and we're going to make that our blog. Right? So once we create this text, let's just see, it's going to be our blog on how to sell. I think that's what I said, how to sell your house. That's going to become our blog. It's going to allow us to brain dump what we're thinking about, structuring it. We've done an exercise like this before, about 3 weeks or so. So that's not new to you. What we're then doing is we're taking that text and we're making an audio format. So how do we do that? Well, we don't even have the camera on. We're just saying it now. Now we're just reading it. Now there's certain times where we kind of read it off script because it doesn't make sense in an audio format because we wrote for blog first. But now what we have is our podcast, right? And how we make that a video is now we have the script basically from our blog. We've recited it in audio format. So I use my hands quite a bit. So whenever we're recording into our podcast, I don't even have the video on any longer. I used to record both at once, but now that's not the case. Now I'm just reading it, using my hands, getting a bit more familiar with the words on the page. And I'm using my hands. I'm not worrying about, like they're going to see me do this, whatever. I'm reading and reciting it into podcast. But now, once I have that understanding with whatever the content is, now I'm making that video and I'm putting this on YouTube plus social media. We'll talk about that. Yeah, let's not get too much here. So YouTube and social media, right? So now we can put our video on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on wherever. And as far as our visuals, we're going to take captions or stills of the podcast, or we're going to take stills of us on video. Not podcast, I'm sorry. Stills of the blog. So snippets of the blog where we have maybe like 3 things that we suggest for home sellers to consider or mistakes to avoid. We'll take a still of that, and now we have our visual, right? So this could come from the blog, could come from the video, or you could self-create it. So a lot of you have access to Canva. Actually, everyone has access to Canva. It's free. Some of you have access to Agently, which is a software company that I'm co-founders in. We have a lot of this exact same thing that we've created. We replicated on Agently as a heads up. But this isn't an Agently play. This is just basically a content play for you. So if you're looking for ways to magnify what you're doing so you're not having to do double work, triple work, quadruple work, and maybe start a podcast and quit it next day, or maybe start on YouTube and quit it in a week or in a month, this is essentially the blueprint that we're using. We're creating in text format first, and now we're manipulating that and creating that audio, creating that video, and creating that visual. So now, whenever I'm singularly focused on having the best text out there, I know that I'm going to have a really good podcast. I know that I'm going to have a really good video, and I know that I'm going to have a strong visual.